will get started. Name and location into the chat. Okay. I'll just give us a couple of minutes to do that. Name and location. So you can say, hi, I'm Elijah, and I'm joining from Nigeria. Okay. You can say, hi, my name is Janet, and I'm joining from the UK. Okay. So your name and your location. Chinonso. Okay. Hi, Chinonso from Nigeria. They need to be joining from the UK. Okay, so it's very important that we all keep our mics muted. Okay, hi Bookie, joining from the UK. All right, nice to meet everyone. As we can see here, we've got, well, at least the people who are sending messages in the chat, we have Nigeria represented, we also have the UK represented, and I happen to think that that's one of the beauty of tech. It's the way it connects people together and brings people from different locations into one room. Now, before we move on, my colleagues are going to be dropping in the chat section a link. It's called an attendance form. Now, the attendance form is important because this is how we get your details so that we can send you the resources that I'm going to be using today. You're going to have access to this slide. You're also going to have access to the recording and also to the interesting things that we only share with the people who are in our community, because you have to give us the permission to share that with you. So if you would like to get all of this, please fill out the attendance form that my colleagues are dropping in the chat. All right, so thank you so much, everyone. Nice to meet you, Jennifer. So we're going to be talking about work from home for stay-at-home parents. And this is a very exciting topic, specifically because there's a demographic where people just think, this is all I've done for a while, and I'm not even sure how to do anything else. Can I even do anything else? Am I allowed to do anything else? And that's why we created Mom in Tech, because we want to show you, want to tell you that even though you've spent a while working at home, maybe working with the kids, maybe you have a gap in your CV, maybe you just relocated, maybe there are a lot of uncertainties, it doesn't matter. There is still opportunity and space for you in tech if you want it. Now, let's talk about why we are here today. And I'm going to say this, like I mentioned, there's a demographic that just thinks that the opportunities that are out there for them is limited. But the truth is that the problem is the traditional career model is not built around the lives, the realities of many parents. It's difficult for you to navigate the traditional model and then to also take care of your family, take care of your kids. A lot of jobs will have you working a 9 to 5, maybe you would even be working a shift. I'm sure that there's a couple of us here who maybe we work shifts, maybe you're trying to figure out what is the best way for me to transition. But if there's one unique thread, one thing that connects everyone together, it's I want more for myself. How do you get more when you have a lot of things to do? You have things that you need to meet up with. You've got childcare, errands that you have to run. You've got family responsibilities. And on top of that, you still have to take care of yourself, take care of your career, work out. There's a whole lot that's happening. But what space do you have to fit in a meaningful career for yourself that can give you the kind of income that you need? One of the things that holds people back in this category is I've just been out of the game for so long, but I will put it to you today that even though you haven't been working, or maybe you've been working in industries like healthcare and others, these are transferable skills. The skills that you build in these categories are what we call transferable skills. And for transferable skills, it's all about how you package that and how you communicate that in the job market. Now, you also need, last but not least, you need a practical path. A practical path. Okay, what you need is a career that gives you enough time to take care of your family while you are still getting everything that you want to get done in a day. And for many people, the solution to this are remote flexible jobs. Remote flexible jobs, very exciting because you get to choose when you work. And in some cases, let me explain. For some people, maybe you work best at night when the kids are already in bed. And at that point, that's when you can do a lot of deep work. During the day, the kids go to school, and now you can attend your meetings. You can even be in your meetings if your camera is turned off and you're getting your house chores done, but with remote flexible jobs, you get to design the kind of life that you want. If you want it to be hybrid, in many cases, a lot of jobs offer remote or hybrid. So it really depends on what you're looking for. But how do you even start when you don't have a roadmap? Which is why I'm going to be sharing a roadmap with you today, a roadmap that will tell you, one, how you can choose a remote capable tech path that fits your background and your time. Okay. Two, you're going to be talking about how you can translate your current experience into job-ready tech language. Like I said, you don't even have to have a science degree for you to get into tech. It doesn't matter what you used to do. It doesn't even matter if you've been out of the game for 5 years or if all you've done your whole life is customer support. Anybody can get into tech if you know where to look. We're also going to be talking about how you can build proof. Build the kind of proof that employers want to see. Just a minute, please. We're going to be talking about how you can build the kind of proof that employers want to see. Okay. We're going to be talking about where you can apply without wasting hours. There are a lot of job boards. If I ask you, probably say Indeed or LinkedIn, but there are a lot of job boards that some people don't even have access to. And for a lot of people, this is one of the ways that they gain an edge over the market, because everybody and their mother and their sister are going into these ones that are very popular and easily accessible. But then there's a small niche out there where you can find jobs that you wouldn't even find when you search publicly, or even strategies on how you can find these jobs directly from the companies themselves. Now, we're also going to be talking about whether or not Tenalytics is the right bridge for your next step. So depending on what your goal is, and that's something that I want us to establish today, I want you to start asking yourself, what is my goal? So as I move along, ask yourself, what exactly am I looking to accomplish? Why am I here? Okay, now, if you wait until the end of this, we're going to be talking about a special offer that I've got for the people who stay on the call, but it's only for those who stay on the call. All right, now moving on, let's talk about Tenalytics. So it's very important. If I'm going to sit here and talk to you about, the next step in your career, then how exactly are we even qualified to be talking about that? So Tenalytics is a career activation network. That's what we call ourselves. Now, I'm sure that you must have heard about Coursera, you must have heard about Udemy and others, all of them fantastic. But I'll tell you what the key difference is. The key difference is if you want to learn a skill, go to Coursera, go to Udemy, go to Skill Camp, go to all of these other places where you can go learn new skills. But if you want to get a job, you're coming to Tenalytics. Now, in the last 5 years, we've helped over 4,000 people. Majority of them did not even have prior experience in tech, and we've helped all of these people land jobs. You know what that means? When majority of these people did not have prior experience in tech, and we helped all of them land jobs. That means that there is a framework that works. You don't have to be technical to understand it. It also means that we have tried different strategies and we've seen what works. And what we will do is we will rinse and repeat it. The only thing is for you to consistently apply it and you will get a job. Now, we also help people transition into a range of career paths. I'm going to show you how we choose these career paths because there is a science to it, like data analytics, health tech, business analysis, cybersecurity, and others. Now, just a quick one, we are also accredited in the UK and in the US as well. So you don't have to worry about the quality that you're getting here. It is top notch. Now, my name is Olafemi, like I mentioned, but why exactly should you listen to Olafemi? Now, I have spent over 10 years in the tech space, and I have worked in different industries that spans fintech, e-commerce, and others in different continents. I've done operations, I've done growth, and I've done different kinds of, I've done projects, products, and others. And that gave me a unique perspective. But I would say that the most important thing is I have been on both sides of the table. So getting a job and hiring for a job. And that gives me a unique perspective into what the job market is like. Because when you have to tweak your resume, and then you're also the candidate who is getting into an interview, you have to make sure that you show up well. There is a strategy for that. And then when you're also looking at the hires that you want to bring on board, as someone who is hiring for the best talent, you want to ensure that you're bringing in people who can actually give you what you call leverage over your competition. You make sure that you're bringing in the best talents that you can find. So what are the things that employers would be looking out for? And that is why I would say my experience in particular is important to you. So let's talk about the reality of the job market, the reality of what we're dealing with. The truth is, remote jobs, they exist. Flexible jobs, they exist. But the problem, there are two things. I would say it revolves around two things. The first one is information, and then the second one is time. So you already know where you can apply. You already know the skills that you need to have, but do you even have the time to do that? So things like limited study time, like childcare, you've taken a break in your career, you've paused it for a while, low confidence because you've been away for a while naturally, or maybe you were not really the kind of person who like to speak up, you're worried that, oh my gosh, I'm going to waste my money. And then you find yourself at a crossroads. There are so many options and all of them just seem fantastic. Which one is the best fit for you? But I want you to look at this slide and I want you to lock in a mental shift today. If you continue doing the things that you've been doing, if you continue using the same strategy, everything that you have here is going to keep on moving back. What happens when you keep on delaying things because you cannot make a decision is that you're moving back the time when you could have a flexible schedule, when your income can become predictable, when you could have options in the way you work. Do you want to show up at work? Do you want to work from home? Where you can grow without burning out because you have skills that compound. If your skills equals X in the market today, because it is compounding, next year it equals X. And when you get into a career path that is in high demand, your ability to earn will only continue to grow with the more skills and experience that you acquire in that field. And last but not least, community and accountability. Community is very important, especially for mothers. Now, what you're looking for is not a any kind of remote job. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for a role that is, number one, remote first. And this is because, let's be honest, you don't have the time. You need a job that gives you flexibility. You need a job where you can plan, you can document, and you're not exhausted by having constant meetings, because it would actually defeat the purpose. You also need a role that you are measured based off the quality of your delivery, based off the quality of the outcomes, the results that you deliver. Now, the best strategy is for you to target roles that are naturally inclined towards remote. So when COVID hit, a lot of roles had to become remote, and they became remote only because of survival. But before then, there were already roles that anyone could do remotely. People were already working remotely before COVID, but it was when COVID hit that it became a thing. And everybody was talking about, oh my God, remote jobs. But before then, people were already doing it. So you're looking for the kind of roles that people were already doing before it became fancy for you to get a remote job, because those kind of roles are designed for you to scale, for you to grow in your career, even though they are remote and you're not seeing your colleagues face to face every single day. Now, before we go on, I just want to share a quick story with you. This is one of my favorite stories. Her name is Ikmat. She was one of our students. Now she's an alumni. And Ikmat joined our 10 Analytics Data Analytics program. Now, Ikmat's case was actually very special because she was a full-time stay-at-home mom with a 2-year employment gap. Imagine, she had spent 2 years at home. Now, she moved to the UK for her master's in public health. And, while she was doing that, she was with her kids. She wasn't working, and that meant that she had a gap in her resume. She had tried other strategies, but it wasn't working. She needed to get a job. And she was thinking, what's the next thing for me? This is not working. It's been 2 years now. And luckily for Ikmat, Ikmat came across 10Analytics and she joined our program. Now, Ikmat, in January 2024, she got a job as an information analyst with the NHS. And the best part about Ikmat, about what happened with Ikmat, is that her job offer, it came with a full visa sponsorship. So the question here is, how did Ikmat do it? How do you go from, I've got a gap in my resume, a 2-year gap in my resume, to landing not just a job, but landing a job where you have full visa sponsorship? And that's because there is a strategy behind it. People like this do not get the kind of results that they need because they got lucky. They get it because they consistently applied a strategy. And that strategy is what we're going to be talking about. So the market has moved. Now, the market is constantly moving. And you know why? It's constantly moving because it needs to survive, okay? The old approach was, I need any remote job. I'm just going to go in, I'm going to get a remote job. And then, you would submit your resume, you would apply randomly. You would go to places like Allison where you can get new skills, and then you just list them on your resume and you would send it. And in many cases, sometimes you would get a job. But as tech becomes increasingly competitive, the systems have begun to evolve with tech. Now we have ATS, we have the applicant tracking system. And that makes job searching, way more complicated. This now means that you cannot just go and take any CV and send it thinking that you're going to get a response. Because when you send it, now people have AI. The AI will review the resume and say, is this person a fit for the role? It means that before you even get an interview with a person, today, you are already being interviewed the moment you send your resume. And that's why I said the game has changed. Back then, people would not think, oh, I'm just going to go search this person. I want to figure out what does this person do. Nowadays, you are being judged from the moment you hit apply. You are already being judged. So this means that you have to understand the strategy behind job searching. You have to understand that every step, everything that you do, the way you position yourself in the market, the way you speak, the kind of contents that you put out on platforms like LinkedIn and others, where you can gain visibility to employers, to recruiters, it is crucial that everything is designed towards what your goal is. So I want to ask you a question. You don't have to, respond to me. It's just to yourself. What is your goal? What is your goal? I want to get a job. When do you want to get a job? I want to get a job in 6 months. I want to get a job in 5 months. Now, the next thing is, what do I have to do in order for me to get a job? Because this strategy, it would have worked before. But today, the market is increasingly competitive. Now, another thing I want you to think about is what role actually fits my life, because not every role is a fit. So people will say things like, I want to do data analytics and I also want to do business analysis. But, I'm thinking maybe I do both of them at the same time. And the reason why I would not even advise that is, number one, you have to first figure out, what kind of person am I? Am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? Do I like working with people? Do I like working with data? Do I like to share ideas, to collaborate? Do I like to negotiate? Figure out what kind of person you are, and then you can now say, where do I need to be, or what kind of job do I want to get? Now, let's talk about what you already have, experience that you don't even have to build because you already have it. This is your life experience, the things that you do on a daily basis. Okay. Now, the problem is that employers do not automatically translate your life experience into job language. They would not say, oh, she's a mom, that's amazing. I'm sure she can deal with a lot of stakeholders, and she will still ensure that nobody loses their heads. So nobody's going to think that. It is you who has to position and sell your skills in that way. For example, let's say you spent a while, maybe running the household, and that's all you've been doing. That in itself is a skill, because when it comes to running the household, you need to think operationally. It's operations thinking. You have to think things like resource management, like prioritization, because you're managing your kids, you're managing schedules. That's like project coordination. It's stakeholder management. It's risk planning. If you maybe you've been working in, say, customer service or healthcare or admin, not your traditional tech path. In places like this, in workflows like this, you're basically doing what business analysts do every day. You're creating processes, you're dealing documentation, you're designing workflows in either of these career paths. Not exactly in that sense, but in many ways, little things that you do on a daily basis touch on these paths. Let's say you work in finance, you work in sales, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you work in a pharmacy. That is, problem solving. That is analytics, it's reporting, it's domain knowledge, and emphasis on domain knowledge, because a lot of these career paths translate into the tech aspect. And when you already have domain experience, meaning you're already in the field, you haven't just moved into the tech path. I'll give you an example. Say healthcare. Maybe you work in healthcare or something. Maybe you handle kids in healthcare, or maybe you handle the elderly in healthcare. Jobs roles like this are not tech, but there are so many opportunities in tech for roles like that. And for people who already have domain knowledge, it's very easy for them to make a pivot inside that kind of industry. Maybe you're an accountant. You can make a pivot from accounting to move into fintech. So there are roles that you do on a daily basis that still translate to tech. Now, if you have a gap, you haven't worked for a while, that is fine, because you can talk about things like resilience, like adaptability, like maturity, like focus. If you haven't been working for a while, let's say you've been home with the kids, you've most likely been budgeting, you've been managing money for the house, you've been doing projects management, you've been taking care of everybody, making sure that nobody misses their doctor's appointment, taking them to the dentist, shopping for groceries. All of these are what we call transferable skills. So I don't want you to write yourself off that because you don't have the typical kind of tech experience, that you are not qualified to get into tech. What this entire section, this entire slide is telling you is that it doesn't matter what your background looks like or what you think it's supposed to look like. Your life experience on its own is raw material, and that could also be your ticket to getting into tech. Okay, so now let's ask ourselves, how can I choose the right path? What is the right path for me? And when you want to make a decision, this is where a lot of people would run into analysis, paralysis. Now you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's so many fantastic pathways. What is the best way for me? What is the best thing for me to do right now? And that is a question that we're going to be answering here. Okay, now there are career paths that will get you a job fast. There are career paths that will get you a job fast. And that's because, I'm going to tell you why I say this, that's because it is backed by data. And this is why you need to figure out what is the best fit for me? What is my personality? What do I like? Do I like people? Do I not like people? Do I like talking? Do I not like talking? Do I like data or not? All of this is what will tell you which career path is the best fit for you. Now, all of these career paths I'm going to be showing you, we went with, I'm showing you all of these career paths because, like I said, it is backed by research. Now, we do our research every year, and we do this on 3 levels. The first thing is a job board analysis. So we're looking at your flex jobs, Monster, Indeed, remote job boards, global job boards, and we're asking ourselves, what jobs are they listing the most? What titles are coming out nowadays? These days you would hear things like marketing engineer, growth engineer, and these are really just operations and marketing roles, but they are literally being they are being rebranded, and they still mean the same thing. So we run analysis to figure out, what skills are people hiring for, what kind of companies are hiring for these skills, and most importantly, how much are they paying for these skills? And then we validate this based on the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs report. It's a fantastic report. If you want to take the time to go through it, please fill out the attendance form that my colleagues are sharing in the chat section, and you're going to gain access to this slide so you can take your time and you can look through it. It just talks about all of the jobs that are going to stay relevant for the next couple of years to come. In 2030, there are millions of jobs, about 60 million jobs that are being taken off the market. One by one, they're going off the market because of AI and because so many things are being automated. But at the same time, AI is creating 2 times the number of jobs that are going off the market. And that's why it's so important for you to understand this. And it's why I keep on stressing on strategy, strategy, strategy. So people will say there are no jobs, but trust me, there are jobs. So we base this off the World Economic Future of Jobs reports to see what jobs are staying relevant year on year. And then we now do a regional analysis. So we do this in the UK, the US, Canada, and then we say what kind of roles are getting visas? What kind of roles are people more likely to get sponsorship for? Now, once we run it on these 3 levels, we get our results. For example, this year, we ran this analysis and we realized that health tech was exploding. Health tech and GRC, and that's why you're going to see health tech and GRC as part of the options listed here. We have health tech data analyst, we have health tech business analyst, we have the normal tracks, business analyst, data analyst, financial analyst, product design, we have healthcare project management, agile project management and Scrum Master, and we also have cybersecurity GRC. Now, cybersecurity GRC, the healthcare tracks, and product design were not a part of our offering last year. Now, we've been in this for 6 years now. In August, we're going to be 6 years, and we only started offering these tracks this year. The question is why? And that's because these tracks are exploding. So what we do is when we look at the job market, if anything is changing, and if it's changing in a negative way, obviously that's not going to be in the list. And that's why the World Economic Future of Jobs validation is very important. And then for the ones where opportunities are exploding, we focus on that. Now, we do this because what our USP is, which is our unique selling point, is we help you get a job. So it's not building a skill for the sake of it. It is building a skill to get a job, which is why we are very big on employability. At Tenalytics, it goes beyond the learning of the skill part. We combine that with what we call employability. I'm going to walk you through what employability is, because employability on its own is something that a lot of people do not have access to. They just learn the skill and they think that the skill is enough to get them the job. But the skill is only 25% of it. The other 75% of it is what moves you up the ladder. At the skill level, everybody is there. Everyone is getting up. Everyone is upskilling. Everyone, we can say most people know how to use certain tools. Most people would go and maybe watch a couple of videos, get certified on Coursera and others. But the strategy part, the application part, the interview part, the positioning part, that's what a lot of people are missing. And that is the most important part of the job hunting right after the skill. Now, let's talk about these different career paths before we move on to the employability aspect of this. Now, I want to talk about data analytics and business intelligence. Now, this pathway is best for the people who love clarity. Okay, you love clarity, you love numbers, you love reporting, you love insights, decisions, making sense of chaos, and when I say numbers, I don't mean you have to be an Einstein, you don't have to be a genius for you to figure this out. When I say numbers, I mean you are comfortable asking questions like, what is happening? Why is this happening? I'm going to drill it down to find out, what is going on here. You're like Sherlock. You are looking for the why. A data analyst will collect, clean, and analyze data, so their teams can make better decisions. They would ask themselves, if our customers bought more in New York compared to, what we got in Lagos, for example, why? If we're marketing to women and we notice that there was a drop in a specific market, we're going to be asking ourselves, why did that happen? And then analyzing the numbers. This is how businesses make decisions. And this is very important because even just by being on this call, we are generating a lot of data. The things that you do every day, you are generating data. When you sleep, you're generating data, because your phone is going to collect when you went to bed and when you woke up. Because when you go to bed, typically your phone is like the last thing that you touch. And when you wake up, your phone is one of the first things that you pick up. So these companies are collecting sleeping habits, and then they are drilling down the sleeping habits down to demographics. They are drilling it down to the kind of jobs that you do. And then they use that to answer questions like, so mothers are more likely to wake up at XXX. In many cases, they will quote a study, but the way they got that data is very questionable. So everything that you do is data, and we use data to make intelligent business decisions. It's why you find TikTok so addictive. It's why you find Instagram so addictive. They literally thrive off the data that you generate to say, oh my goodness, she loves to watch videos of on AI. So I'm going to show her a lot of AI content, but it's not just about AI. What kind of AI content does she like to consume? And the algorithm will continue to filter based off how much time you spend watching the videos, based off how you communicate. Do you like the video? Do you comment on it? So your data is very important, and businesses use this to stay relevant in the market. And this is why this is a career path that will not go out of trend anytime soon, because every day businesses generate billions, trillions, gazillion loads of data, and somebody has to make sense of all of that data to say, this is what the market is saying. Okay, so if you've maybe been in healthcare, you've been in finance, sales, operations, customer service, maybe you come from a business background, this is a fantastic fit. Now let's talk about business analysis. I really love business analysis because with business analysis, you're constantly asking why, like data track, but it's different. You're asking why, and you can actually go beyond the insight, beyond the data, and say, this is how we are going to solve this problem. Now, for business analysts, they gather things like requirements, they map processes, and they're clarifying the problem so they can help businesses build better solutions. So as a business analyst, you are constantly solving problems. And this is a strong fit for many parents, especially because, parents often become very good at asking questions. They become very good at organizing information, dealing with people, managing expectations, creating clarity in messy situations. So this is a fantastic career path. Now, another reason why business analysis as a career path is blowing up is because businesses, tech in particular, does not have enough problem solvers. One thing that would always set you apart in tech is being a problem solver. So people would say things like, I'm a data analyst, that's my job, I'm always going to stay there. And they would wait for people to tell them what to do. This leadership is something that I think a lot of people in business analysis naturally embody or should naturally embody, because before a workflow becomes a problem, as a business analyst, you've most likely identified it. So when you see these trends, the layoffs, the way work is changing in real time in front of us, things like admin roles being fully automated, a lot of times the people who are leading this movement are business analysts, because they are on top of the trends and they're asking themselves, okay, so the business made $7 million in 2025. Now we need to make times 2 of that in 2026. How do we do that? They would look at all of the workflows and departments that exist, and they would ask themselves, what don't we need anymore? What do we take off the table? How do we accelerate this? How do we make sure we deliver value to our customers? How do we ensure that when one person comes into the funnel, that one person becomes 3 people? Those 3 people become 10 people. And then they would go to the customers, they would ask them questions. These are things that AI cannot do. So in this track, you would use AI as a force multiplier. So, and you don't have to be technical to get into it. This is a career path that you don't even have to be in the office to do it. You don't have to clock in. The only thing you know how to do, you should know how to do, is problem solve and manage stakeholders. Managing stakeholders and problem solving. Now let's talk about product design. I love visuals. I love colors. I'm the kind of person who, when I go to a website, I'm already judging. I'm judging the way your button moves. I'm judging the UI, the look and feel of it. I'm asking, is this clear? When people, one of the things that makes websites usable, or that makes products grow in terms of like the users and even revenue, is how instinctive it is to use the system. If you really think about it, at some point in your life, you must have come across a website that you thought was super frustrating. And you're like, why? Why do I have to go up here to click on this? It's so simple, just do this and do that, and you're going to solve the problem. So in many cases, if your website is not usable, if people cannot easily solve their problem when they come to your website, if they cannot answer the most important questions, and that includes your website, your app, if it cannot answer the most important questions and make that process smooth, easy, you're going to lose users. And this is why product design is important. Now, something very funny. So, when Claude Design and others, AI is really big now when it comes to UI and design. When that became a thing, everybody was worried, oh my goodness, product design is going to become a thing of the past, because now we have AI that is now designing stuff for people. Graphic design is dead. But the funny thing is that now we have a lot of, there's a term that we call it AI slop. AI slop is just stuff that AI just throws out, and it's literally regurgitating that, because it gave it to you, it gave it to your mom when she asked a prompt for a website, it gave it to the construction guy when he asked for it. So it's basically the same kind of design. So everybody's design is now looking like the same thing, and this is why designers is now a field that once again is blowing up again. So if you're naturally a creative person, AI would not look at, say, an e-commerce store and would not say, why are people not converting? AI would not go and say, hey, okay, how many people got to this page and then dropped off before they took the action they were supposed to take? Okay, we got about 200 people. Now, who completed the form? The number of people who completed the form from the 200 people who came on the website was 5. You're already asking yourself as a designer, why? And then you're looking at the form, you're like, is it too difficult? And then you're already asking, do I simplify this? It's one of the reasons why when you check out, sites like TikTok, sites like Instagram, they never remain the same. Their UI is constantly changing because they are always trying to improve the user experience. They are obsessed with user experience because if the user experience does not evolve over time, people are going to get bored and move on. And that's why if you're a creative person, it's a fantastic career path for you. Now let's talk about agile projects management. Now, if you're the kind of person who likes to put things in order, okay, if you like to organize projects, maybe you're always the life of the party. The life of the party in the sense that you're most likely the first person who would pick up the tray and you're moving it around and you're telling people, oh, let's go here, let's do this. You're a natural at organizing things, at planning schedules. If you have a vacation with your friends that you're going on, you're probably the person who is planning the entire itinerary of it. You've already found the hotel, you've already booked the flights for everyone. Your friends know that you've got them. You will organize things. You would be fantastic as a project manager because that is what you do every day. You're pretty much babying people. You're prioritizing, you're communicating, you're planning, you're following up with people, you're removing blockers, risk management. So people would argue that, project management is a career path that should not even exist. But the only reason why project management exists is because people are people. If you give them the opportunity, they will slack. They won't do the things they're supposed to do. So somebody has to tell them, hey, we need to move. And this is one of the reasons why AI can never replace this, because I probably would not respond to an AI notification. But if there was a project manager who was moving things around, and this person is here to unblock, hey, what's going on? We're supposed to have this 2 days ago. Oh, that's because I don't have XXX. Okay, who do I have to talk to? This person is already unblocking things for you. This is a career path that AI cannot, it's never going to happen. Okay, it is never going to happen. So the career path is fantastic if you love to organize things. Now, if you've worked in healthcare, finance, admin, maybe you were processing things, you were putting documents together, you would be fantastic, in financial analytics, in the health tech track, depending on what your specific domain experience is, and also in GRC, governance, cybersecurity as well. A lot of people will hear cybersecurity and they will think it's technical, but there is a path of cybersecurity that does not involve coding or anything technical at all. The only thing that it involves is you understanding policies, understanding compliance, understanding how to enforce compliance. And if you've ever told your kid, no, you have to go to bed at exactly 6 p.m., trust me, you would know how to enforce this. So this means that whatever your background is, you would do fantastic in tech. You would do fantastic in tech. And if you already have a background in whatever it is that you're doing, you're already thinking to yourself, what is my skill that I get from here that I can transfer into other parts? That's what I want you to start asking yourself. What are the skills I have developed that I can transfer into other parts? I want to talk to you about Judith. It's someone who she's not doing what she did before. She's doing something entirely different, okay? Now, Judith moved to the UK and she became a carer. She was already doing something. I believe Judith was from Nigeria, yes. Now, when she was in Nigeria, Judith was, she was a HR. She was in the HR industry when she was in Nigeria, and she was doing very well for herself. But when she moved to the UK, it was very different market, different expectations, and everybody kept on telling Judith, you cannot get into HR here unless you have something different. You know, you're probably going to have to go back to school and all of that. And Judith, you know, she kept on thinking, what is the next step for me? Then Judith met someone in her son's school who introduced her to Tenalytics. It was just a conversation. The person said, why don't you try Tenalytics? It was literally word of mouth that brought Judith to Tenalytics. Now, Judith joined Tenalytics and then she completed her program in March 2024. Now, 3 months later, this is someone who had a background in HR, and she came in and she said, you know what, I'm going to go for the business analysis track. 3 months later, in July 2024, Judith landed a role as a business analyst in the US. So she works remotely in the UK. And because of this, she has time, you know, to spend with her kids. It's very easy for Judith to plan her life around, you know, going to pick up her kids. And, you know, she doesn't have to sacrifice anything. And one of the best things I love about Judith's story is the move from HR to business analysis. What connects both of them? If you've ever worked in human resource, one thing that you do a lot that you would find in business analysis is stakeholder management. You are always dealing with people. Either you're interviewing people, you're talking to people. So a key thing here is that Judith was able to move quickly because she wasn't a fish out of water. This was literally in her, it was in her track. She wasn't moving too far off. She didn't move from HR and jump into cybersecurity. You know, she did something that she was familiar with. But you know, a question is, how do you move from care to becoming a business analyst in the US? It's not even a case where you have to come to the office every day and they can keep their eye on you. Someone hired Judith, a company, an organization hired Judith remotely, trusted that Judith would show up every day to do her job when her background was HR. And when she came into the UK, she was working in a care role. I'm going to show you how Judith was able to do this, because this is where the employability aspect, the positioning aspect, this is where it comes into play. Today, if you put your resume out, you know, you're like, yeah, I used to work in HR, and, you know, then I moved to the UK, and yeah, since then I've been in care, but I've taken a couple of courses. I've taken a couple of courses, and I'm a fantastic business analyst, and I'm hardworking. You're not going to get a job. So how did Judith do it? I'm going to show you how she did it very soon. Okay, now if you want to watch Judith's interview, there's actually a video attached here. I'd love to play it for you, but I'm considering the time that we have left. Please don't forget to fill out the form, the attendance form that my colleagues are dropping in the chat section, because then you get to watch Judith's video, and you're also going to gain access to the slides that I'm using, just in case you might drop off at any point and you want to gain access to this. It's important that you fill out the attendance form. Okay, now let's talk about how and where to apply today. We've gotten to the strategy part. Now, a lot of people would say that, you know, quality, that quantity will get you there. I completely disagree. But something really interesting happened one time. A guy ran an experiment. So he used I believe he used Claude to build an agent, and the agent was randomly applying to jobs for him. So his goal was, I'm going to apply to 1 million jobs. Okay, 1 million jobs. And he did that. He applied to 1 million jobs. Here's the crazy part. He did not hear back from about 60% of the jobs that he applied to using the agent. And then, you know, about a lot of them actually ghosted him. I think a large percentage, about maybe 29 or thereabouts, and he got a couple of interviews from it. I don't think it was up to maybe 10, 11 thereabouts. And at the end of the day, he got a job. He got 2 job offers. The first one that he got, he did not go for that one because he realized it was a scam. And then the second one was the one that he went for. But I think that this is when I heard his story, it was fantastic, because it proves what, you know, we've always been saying, or what I always say as well, that you cannot just keep thinking that quantity is the way for you to beat or win this game. Strategy is very important. I'm going to be talking about that now. So the first level of your strategy. The first thing that you have to do. So you're ready. I want to learn. I want to figure out, what I want to get into this market. I want to get a job. But what do you need to do? The first thing is you must learn. You have to learn the skill aspect, the 25% aspect, but not just learn in any way. Okay, your goal is to land the job. The way you learn matters. Now, if you want to land the job, you have to learn in a project-based environment. So, for example, you want to become a data analyst, you should not only learn what Power BI is. It means that you should build dashboards, you should write clean data, you should explain insights, you should work with business questions. You need to simulate it as if you are already in that environment. So the way you learn matters, okay? Learning without evidence is weak in the job market. So you are learning by doing the actual job. That is the best way for you to learn, by doing the actual job. Now, while you are doing this, you are going to be building your portfolio. You're going to be building your portfolio. Your portfolio is what you show in the job market when you are applying for jobs. Your portfolio is very critical because you would be judged by recruiters, you would be judged by hiring managers through your portfolio. Your portfolio shows the kind of projects that you worked on. It shows them that you are qualified for the job that you are asking for. And this is especially important for stay-at-home parents, anyone who is targeting being a stay-at-home parent, because your time is valuable and you cannot afford that, consuming, learning a new skill for a couple of months and then you have nothing to show. So every learning stage should produce an artifact, a dashboard, a process document, a design case study, a project plan, something that shows that you are actually learning, something that helps you build proof for your portfolio, because this is what is going to help you, one of the things that will help you stand out in the market. Now, the second part is you must prove competence, okay? Now, we have Victoria. This is Victoria, by the way. If Victoria wants to get a job with the NHS as a healthcare data analyst, what must Victoria do? What should Victoria do? What should she use as a strategy? What does Victoria need to prioritize? Now, Victoria has to learn by working with real data. She has to learn by working with healthcare style, data and healthcare style kind of problems. She needs evidence that looks relevant to her employer. Now, let me put things into perspective for you. Let's say Amazon, for example. Amazon is hiring. Amazon is hiring for a business analyst. And, you submit your portfolio. In your portfolio, you've got, maybe health tech, kind of like business analysis, kind of case studies. You've got fintech as well, and then another person submits their portfolio. They worked with an African e-commerce store. They worked with one that was focused on the European market. They worked with one to break into the Saudi Arabia market. They had to learn new things. They used an entire case study. Who do you think the recruiter will go for? And this is why domain knowledge is very important, and your strategy as well. I want to show you what Victoria's portfolio looks like. So imagine that you are Victoria and you submit your resume for a job. When you submit your resume for a job, it passes through the ATS. It's fine, everything works out great. Next step is you're reviewing it. Now, let's say it's the NHS. The NHS would come here and then they would see, interesting, first of all, keyword, hospital. And you're thinking, this person has experience in the domain. It is not new to this person. So they know that you have experience working in their specific industry. This is very important. Now, the recruiter would come here, maybe the hiring manager, because when the recruiter likes your profile, what they will do is they will compile your data and then, the other qualified candidates, and they would share that with the hiring manager. So the hiring manager would not be making judgment based off your resume alone. And for the ones who only have resumes, they're seriously, taking themselves out of the markets. Because if the other person has a portfolio and the other person has a portfolio and you are the only person who doesn't have one, you automatically become the person who is not serious. So when the recruiter opens this, they will see things, like what she's done before, look at her data. This, by the way, this is a portfolio of one of our students. She's an alumni now, but this is what she built while she was inside of the program. So she was learning and building at the same time. So this is the kind of things that you would be showing to employers. You would attach it to show that you know how to do the work. I always say that there are two categories when it comes to, your documentation. You've got your resume. Your resume is your show. Your portfolio is your tell. That means you're not just showing them your resume is where you say things like, I have done this and I increased this by 5%. I did this by 10%, yada, yada, yada. And that's all fine and good. But then you are literally giving them proof of your competence with your portfolio, because they can see it, they can follow your thought process, they can see how you solve the problem. This is one of the things that helps people beat the market. Okay, so if you don't have this, you are seriously counting yourself out of the market. Every time you apply for a job and it now comes down to your profile and somebody else's profile, those who have it will always be on top of the market. Okay, now let's talk about the combined foundational strategy. I've said a whole lot. Now let's talk about your combined foundational strategy. I've mentioned portfolio and then also learning in a project-based environment. Now, everything you're doing at this stage is for you to build what I call experience, real experience. That is what you build at this level. You learn, first of all, through project-based learning. You build your portfolio, and then you do this for the next 6 months. This is with Tenalytics. This is how our program is designed. You do this for the next 6 months, and then you move to Amdari. Amdari is where you do your internship, and your internship is for 2 months. In Amdari, you're going to have when you join Amdari, you're also going to have the opportunity to include Tenalytics and Amdari on your CV and your LinkedIn. Now, remember I was talking about when I showed you the story of Judith, and I said, how do you move from care? How do you move from that? You were dealing HR when you were in Nigeria, and then you moved to the UK, you started working in the care industry, and then there was a leap, an absolute leap from that to getting a job in the US while being in the UK as a business analyst. How in the world did she do this? She did this because she listed her experience with Tenalytics on her LinkedIn. So Tenalytics Amdari, and she listed herself as a consultant. And then she said, okay, I was a business analyst with Tenalytics. So not as I was a student, but I was, a consultant. And then, based off the portfolio that she had developed when she was inside of the program, it was very, very easy to show that there was domain knowledge. And that was how she was able to break into the market. Very critical. Okay, now let's talk about what I call the 3-layer job search system. Okay, the 3-layer job search system. The first thing is you want to use curated remote boards. Now, we've spoken about how you learn. The next thing is after you're done learning, what is the next step for you? This is where we're talking about the job itself, your strategy to get in the job. Now, you have your job boards. Remember, we're targeting remote jobs. So the strategy here is, what kind of boards can I find the kind of opportunities that I'm looking out for? You're looking out for company pages, their career pages. You're looking out for the generic ones. I would say LinkedIn and Indeed and Glassdoor, everybody knows them and they're always going there. It's why when you're searching on LinkedIn, you're going to see things like, over 100 people have applied. There's a lot of competition, and this is why you need the first layer, which is curated remote boards. A lot of times, the best strategy that works is combining all of these 3 levels together. The first one is remote job boards. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. And then the second one is the ones that are very accessible, LinkedIn, Indeed, Built-in, and others. And then the third level are company career pages. A lot of people skip this part. A lot of companies would list these opportunities on their career pages. So you want to make sure that when you are searching for a job, that you understand the strategy that you're going to be using for your job search, because you're going to get rejected. It's 100% going to happen. You're going to apply and you're going to get rejected. And then, this is why you need to have a solid strategy, because if you get rejected today, you get rejected tomorrow, you know that all of this is happening so that you can find the best fit for you. But you don't want to keep on doing the same thing over and over again, and you don't have a solid strategy behind you. If you're using the right resume, if you're applying to the right opportunities, even though you get rejected, you will find a job, okay? And that's why you need a strong strategy. Let's talk about the popular and hidden remote job boards. A lot of people know LinkedIn, Indeed, and others, but then there are also job boards that are very fantastic, but people don't know them. For example, we've got Inclusively Remote. Inclusively Remote, you're going to find jobs that are designed for, your ethnicity. If you're Latina, if you are African, you're going to find lots of jobs that are diverse opportunities. They're literally designed to be inclusive. We've got job boards like Well-Found. We have job boards like We Work Remotely, Hidden Jobs, Dice, Workable, Remotive, Remote for Me. But the thing is that all of these job boards I've just listed here, even though, many of them are going to go there, if you drill down, you're probably going to find the right opportunities. It's also important to understand that some of them are quite generic, so the filters would be very helpful, while some of them are niche. So if you're in operations, if you're in marketing, there are certain job boards that are best fits for you. For example, Workable. Workable is it's pretty much a repository. It's global. We've got companies that are using Workable's HRIS system, and they use Workable to handle things like recruitment. And this gives Workable access to an incredibly large database. Okay, incredibly large database. I want to quickly show you something. So depending on what you're looking for in the market, just a minute. It depends on what you're looking for in the market. These job boards can provide you with options, so you decide which ones you want to apply to. Okay, so let's take a look at a quick one before we continue. I want to show you Inclusively Remote. So for Inclusively Remote, it's just inclusivelyremote.com. You can also, remember, fill out the attendance form. You're going to gain access to the slides, so you can just click on it and then you can go there. You can see that many of these roles were listed today. This was 7 hours ago. This was 7 hours ago. This was 8 hours ago, 17 hours, 19. But then you can also see that there's a range. Product manager. If you're a project manager, you can absolutely get into this. UI UX, this is product design. Recruiter, employment specialist, research analyst. Research analyst is another thing that we call business analysis. It's like the main job, and then under that there are different titles. A lot of times when you see the title, it might discourage some people. That's because you don't know that the market literally rebrands. I gave an example earlier. So what we used to call a growth marketer is now, the market has rebranded it now to they rebranded it to growth engineer. So when you see, you're already thinking like a growth engineer. It's like engineering, that's technical, that's coding. No, it's just somebody who understands growth systems and how to apply them to help the companies grow. That's what it means. So you're just pretty much a marketer, you're engineering growth. And that's why, you should not depend on just, it's also important for you to understand what are the subsets of this, the other titles that could show up, when I'm job hunting. So this is Inclusively Remote. We've also got Remote for Me. We have Workable as well, like I've mentioned, and a lot of other opportunities. I mentioned Hidden Jobs. Let me quickly show you Hidden Jobs before we move on. But these are job boards that you can gain access to. Now, another thing is, For the people who are a part of our community, we also help them move around these job boards. So we have access to the ones that are global, and then we also partner with job boards as well. So this gives us access to exclusive jobs that has low competition. And we share these jobs with the people who are in our community. And we do this every single week. So what that means is while you are leveraging all of this, you are also gaining access to a curated list of jobs that you can apply to as well. So all of these are jobs, and then you can also search on companies' websites as well, and then you can actually use strings to find these jobs. I'm going to be including that as a part of the resources in this slide in the web. So if you've not filled out the attendance form, make sure that you fill out the attendance form, because that's going to be going out to the people whose information we have. So I'm going to show you how you can use strings to find jobs on company career pages. Okay, it's you go online and you can search, and then you can also use AI as well to pull these jobs into your atmosphere. You can use AI if you have a Claude account, for example. If you have a Claude account, if you have a ChatGPT paid account, it's very easy for you to design it. So I'm going to be attaching the prompt for that alongside the slide. So make sure that you fill out the attendance form, and it's something that anybody can do. Just paste the prompt and it's going to do the rest of the work for you, and pull all of the jobs that within your atmosphere, pull them into a sheet, and then all you have to do is just click apply, apply, apply. But information is necessary, because if you don't know that these jobs are open, then you don't apply for the jobs, which is why, like I said, job hunting on its own is a full-blown strategy. It's a full-blown job on its own, and you have to know the best way for you to do it. Now, beyond applying to all of the job boards, Bukola, are you trying to say something?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. I might have pressed something. Sorry.
Okay, it's fine. I'm going to be taking questions after this. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be taking your questions right after this. All right. Now, it's also very important for you to lock down the kind of industry you're looking to work in. This is one of the things I always tell people when they join our programs, when they take a program. I always tell them, look, we're going to get to the employability aspect. We're going to help you out with things like your LinkedIn optimization, with things like your resume, with things like tips for jobs. We're going to be helping you tips for interviews, interview preps, and all of that. Pretty much the full employability package. But one thing that we cannot do for you, we cannot help you set a goal. You have to set the goal for yourself. So you have to say, what kind of industry do I want to work in? What kind of company do I want to work in? There are SaaS companies, there are health tech companies, fintech, there's insurance as well, there's ed tech companies, consulting, public, even agri-tech as well is also an industry, remote first startups, global nonprofits, and so many others. You have to decide where you want to work, what kind of industry you want to work in. And then when you do that, you can now build a list. You can build a list of the kind of companies that you want to work in. When you have a list of these companies, then you can now start checking their career pages weekly. As a matter of fact, there's a way that you can actually build tools. You can automate this to a point where you don't have to go check their pages out every day. You simply build an agent, and the agent goes every day to check their pages to see if there's anything new, and it pulls it into a sheet that you have built. These are things that we teach in mentorship programs. So mentorship happens every Wednesday with every Thursday in our community, and we share a lot of knowledge on how you can automate job search, on how you can interview. We also bring in alumni as well. So people just like you, like Ikmas, like Judith, whose story that you've heard, we bring them in so they can share what it was like for them when they were going through the process, sitting in the same shoes that you're most likely sitting in the same place as you right now. So quick one before we move on. Quick story. She moved from a healthcare assistant to becoming a business data analyst, and she did this in less than 3 months. This is Sharon. So Sharon joined our 10 Analytics Business Analysis program, and she joined this in March 2025. Now, Sharon applies to the jobs that were available internally. And this means that, so like I mentioned, you've got domain experience. For a lot of people, they would use this to go search for opportunities outside. But Sharon said, I need to search for opportunities that are available in my company because I need to keep my sponsorship. And in May 2025, she landed a job as a business data analyst. So you don't have to move into a completely new career path or move into a completely new company. The only thing that you need to do is figure out, and this is why like the mapping is very important. What kind of companies do I want to work for? And if you find that the company that you currently work for falls under that, fantastic. You've already got allies there. You've gotten a job in that company already. Now you just need to transition. It's actually much easier than when you're transitioning from the outside. But that strategy still works even though you are outside. So you just need to figure out what kind of companies do I want to keep an eye on. All right. Now I've said a whole lot. I want to talk about the tracks briefly now. I've spoken about, how important all of these tracks are to the business, the processes that happen on a day-to-day basis. So as a business analyst, when you come in, what we're going to be teaching you or how you can break into this is by learning the foundations of business analysis. So you're going to be learning how to use tools like Excel, Power BI, SQL. There's no math in this. You're going to be learning stakeholder analysis and engagement, which is why your transferable skills are also important because this is something that you already do. So it's not hard for you to quickly catch on the foundational aspects. For the tools, you're going to be learning tools like Trello, like Draw.io. You're going to be learning Confluence, ChatGPT, Lucidchart, and others. Now we also have the health tech track. Like I mentioned, health tech is a track on its own. So we have the normal business analysis, and we also have the healthcare business analyst. That's another health tech track. Now, what is the difference between both of them? Because with both of them, you're still learning the same tools. The difference are the projects that you are building. Remember, you are building your projects because this is part of how you get a job. It's part of your employability package. So when you are learning, you are using your learning to build your portfolio. And your portfolio is what the recruiters, the employers will look at before they hire you. So for the health tech track specifically, your case studies are going to be focused on the health tech market. For the business analyst, it could be anything, any industry, but for the health tech track, it's focused on health tech. Now, we also have the projects management track. Project management, you're going to be learning things like the foundations of project management. You're going to be learning the Scrum and Agile methodology. You're going to be learning how to use tools like Kanban, Confluence, Trello, Jira. You're going to learn frameworks like Waterflow, like Sprint. You're going to learn how to use tools like Draw.io, like ChatGPT. And all of these are designed for you to become equipped with the best skills, the best tool stack that project managers need, and the best frameworks too. And just like business analysts, we also have the health tech track under that. Now, we also have data analysis. Data analysis, just like the other two, also has the health tech track. And it's pretty much the same thing, the same kind of tools you'd be learning. You're going to learn the foundational aspects for problem solving. You're going to learn how to apply ChatGPT to your workflow, because these days, if you don't know how to use AI, you're cheating yourself. You're going to learn tools like Tableau, like Power BI, SQL. You're going to learn how to use all of these tools in your daily workflow as a data analyst. Now, we also have the financial analyst track. Under the financial analyst, you're going to be learning under the financial analyst, you're going to be learning valuation, SQL, Power BI, Excel, problem solving. This is for the people who like numbers. You're going to learn Power BI, financial modeling, and all of that under the financial analyst track. So if maybe you come from a finance, accounting background, this would be a good fit for you. Now, for product design, for my creatives, you're going to be learning the foundations of product design. You're going to learn how to use tools like Framer, like Figma, how to generate designs, how to make them usable, how to conduct usability testing, how to keep your design competitive, how to ideate using tools like Midjourney and others. You're going to learn how you can use AI in your design to accelerate your workflows. And last but not least, we also have cybersecurity, the GRC track. Now you're going to be learning things like compliance frameworks. You're going to be learning things like governance, like audit, security, how to run security awareness, how to evaluate risks, how to plan for that, how to predict and prevent risks. All of these under the cybersecurity GRC track. You're going to learn how to use tools like Splunk, like WebCheck, like Zap, like Metasploit, Whois, Microsoft Defender, and others. Okay, now for all of these tracks that I just walked you through, for all of them, our classes happen every Saturday. Now we have a blended approach that we take to learning. The blended approach is combining self-paced and watch me and watch me do it videos. So we combine both of them together. So what this means is learning in class rather and watch me do it videos. So what this means is that you watch the videos yourself in your own time. It's available to you. So if you've ever used tools like say like Coursera and others, and you understand those watch me do it videos, so you watch the videos and then you come into class. So when you come into class, you meet your facilitators and then you ask them questions. I tried. You also have assignments as well. So when you come into class, you talk about the things that you have learned, the things that you tried to do that did not work, and the best way for you to go about it. So this happens on Saturday, and depending on the region that you're in, it happens in the morning and in the evening. Now it's split. In the morning, it happens at 11 to 2 p.m. That's EU time. And in the evening, it happens 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's UK time as well. And then it also happens 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's MST. Now on Sundays, and throughout the entire week, you also do self-paced. But then on Wednesdays, we have what we call drop-in sessions as well. So the drop-in sessions are classes where you can just drop in, where you pretty much, you can ask any question. You can say, I watched something, I don't know how to do it, or I tried to do this. But throughout that period, you have access to your facilitators. So you can always ask questions if you need any help, if you need support with anything. You also have access to your community as well. So your community is with maybe a group of people, about 4 people, because we typically break down cohorts into smaller groups of people. So you can also get support as a group. So you're also developing relationships, you're building community, you're not learning in isolation. Then we also have on Thursdays, we have what we call mentorship sessions. So mentorship sessions are when people like myself, like my colleagues, would come in and would talk about the best way for you to win in the job market that just continues to change every single day. We also bring in industry experts as well, including alumni who have gotten the same kind of results that you are looking for. So people who have walked through the same process, who have gotten jobs, who are working in companies that you've definitely heard of, would come in and would say, so this was my process, this is what works for me. And if you're trying to recreate the same thing, this is what I believe you should do. And you can ask them any questions that you want. And you can also check them out on LinkedIn as well. These are real people with real stories who have gotten real results. Every testimonial I have shared here today, you gain access to this slide. Go and look them up. They are real people. You can even hit them up on LinkedIn and say, what was your experience like with Tenalytics, and ask them what it was like. But chances are you would most likely meet some of them during mentorship. They will come in and they will talk to you. You also gain access to mentors as well. So we're very community focused, because one thing that we believe in is that actual learning does not happen in isolation. It accelerates with the strength of community. Now, you've learned the skill. Okay, let's say you've learned the skill, you've decided, okay, I want to go for business analysis and all of that, so, and you've come in, you've done that, you've done your internship, now you're in the market, you're job hunting, you've gotten a job, and who is going to vouch for you? So our students would typically reach out, our participants would reach out when they get references, and we are always happy to fill it, to give you fantastic references. This is a reference that we filled out for Maotin. Chances are you would most likely also meet Maotin during mentorship as well, because he comes in sometimes to talk to the people in our community. So everything I have said, let's put it in a let's summarize the gist of it. So what is a strategy to go from I don't have a job right now, I don't have a plan, to becoming hired? We can just, everything I've said, we can collapse it into a framework that we call LPA. The first part of the LPA is learn. This is when you choose the skill to learn and you focus on that skill. Not, oh, I want to do data analysis. No. I want to do business. No. Cybersecurity. Choose one and stay there, please. Learn it, understand it, and then you move to the next stage, which is packaging, aka employability. So you gain experience, you use that experience to build your portfolio, and we help you out with that, so you don't even have to be an expert at it. And then there's also your LinkedIn optimization as well. If you've never received a message from a recruiter saying, hi, would you like to, I think that you'll be a great fit for this job, it means your LinkedIn is not optimized. When they're searching, they cannot find you. So we give you the tips, the strategies, and we help you put your LinkedIn together. Then we also have the mentorship sessions as well, where you can learn every single week. It happens every single week. And we also have interview preps. So you're part of the community. You get 100 interviews, you get 200. No matter, our facilitators are going to sit down with you. They are going to help you. They're going to ask you questions that you're most likely going to get during the interview stage. Questions like, tell me about yourself. Why do you want to join this company? And even right down to the strategy that you present during the interview process. So people in our community take advantage of this a lot. Whenever they have any interviews, they book interview preps, and this is all part of your package. Then we also have the job reference as well. It doesn't matter if you get 4 jobs, 5 jobs, even though you have already left. So long as you are part of our community, we will always provide you with a job reference. And of course, finally, on the job support. So it's ongoing. Part of our community once is part of our community forever. So that means if you need help with anything, even after you've gotten the job of your dreams, oh my goodness, we have a new product that we're using right now in our department. I don't know how to use it. And this is, my manager asked me to deliver it tomorrow. I need help to analytics. I've gotten a couple of calls like that to assist people. Same thing with my colleagues. It's something, whoever is qualified, who understands how to use that, will get on a call with you. So you have access to a community that is not just about you coming in to learn a new skill. It's about helping you get a job and keeping you employed. So the last stage of this is the application. We've already said, we've disproven the idea of quantity. So remember, quality. Tap into the paid job boards, the hidden job boards, even the ones that we share with you as well. So you now have resources that you can apply to build the automation that I'm going to be sharing with you as part of the resources for this slide. Use that, a couple of times, maybe every couple of weeks, to pull in new searches, new jobs that you can apply to. Only apply to the ones that you genuinely want to work. You really want this job, not for the sake of application, but because you want the job. Okay, and every time you're applying, always tailor your resume. Not applying a generic resume to a job, you're not going to get it. So because remember, we spoke about the ATS, it would kick your resume out if your resume is not a fit. We're also going to teach you how you can do this as well at the employability stage. And when you combine all of these strategies together, this is what gets you a job. So LPA, if you apply the L without the A, it's not going to work. If you apply the P without the A, it's not going to work. All of this has to be applied. 1, 2, 3 for you to get this result. And not just applied consistently. Even on days when it feels like, oh my God, it's just not working. Keep doing it because it will work. Some people get jobs in 3 months. Some get jobs in 6 months. Some get jobs in a month. And the only thing that is different between all of these people is how consistently they used all of these strategies. That is the only differentiator. Okay, now what do employers need to see? Number one, skill. You need to prove that you know how to use the tools, the methods, the frameworks that are relevant to this role. And this is part of what you learn at the foundational stage. They also need to see portfolio, dashboards, case studies, prototypes, the things that you have built. They want to see your mind in action, your problem solving in action. This is because nobody has time to waste. If a job is open, it is because the job needs to be opened. Every job exists to problem solve. Some people are just in a waiting for direction mode. So for recruiters, employers, they now have a very critical mission. Their mission is, how do we find the right people without wasting our time? So if you're able to prove to them that you are the right person, you've basically, you will see sometimes that some jobs will be on the market 2, 3, 4 times. The companies are constantly posting, is it that they can't find the right people for these jobs? Maybe they are running an investor scam or something, but in many cases, it's because they can't find the talent for the role. So you make your life easier and the recruiter's life easier by showing portfolio proof. That way, they don't have to hire someone that they cannot easily get rid of without a lawsuit. Communication proof as well. They want to see that you write well. If you get an assessment, they want to see that you can interview well. How do you answer the question? Tell me about yourself. Do you start to stammer? Or do you already know what to say? Are you confident? All of these are things that recruiters are always looking out for. Finally, last but not least, execution proof. This is evidence that you can finish the work without being chased. So when they ask you things like, tell me about a time when a lot of times this is how they search for things like that. Tell me about a time when one time in a mentorship session, someone was asking me, what do I answer when they ask me that? Because I'm just transitioning. I've never been a cybersecurity analyst before. I'm just learning. So what do I say? And I told the person that just by you being in the program, you are already developing, you're pretty much, a cybersecurity analyst. Your small community, your pod with 4 or 5 people, you work on projects together, you brainstorm together, you problem solve together. This is your department. So when they ask you questions like, tell me about a time when you can always reference that. So every bit of what we do at Analytics is designed for you to develop all 4. The skill, the portfolio, the ability to communicate your ideas clearly, to interview with confidence, and the execution proof as well. And like I've mentioned over and over again, if you want to work remotely, you need to show that you can actually do the job, especially when it's remote. Because for recruiters, when they see that you can do the job, it increases the trust that they have. Someone like Judith, who got a job in the US while she lives in the UK and who doesn't even have any background at all in business analysis, but because she applies the LPA framework and she did it so well and consistently, Judith is proof that if you do it, you will get a job. But how well do you do it? How consistently do you apply it? Now we're wrapping up here, but one note I do want to leave up, I do want everyone to remember is community is a part of your strategy, especially when you're a busy mother. So this is one of the reasons why our entire program is designed around community. Everybody has community. You have your pods, you have your facilitators, you have mentorship where people who are once in your shoes come in. The peer accountability aspect is baked into the program to ensure that even on days you don't feel like showing up, you are encouraged to show up. All right. Now, I want to ask a question before I show you a special offer. And that question is, are you comfortable where you are at right now? And it is fine if you are, but I would like to know, are you comfortable where you are right now? Please type a yes or a no in the chat. Are you comfortable where you are right now? That's the question. I want you to think about the job that you do, the salary that you earn. I want you to think about if you feel fulfilled doing what you do, if you feel challenged doing what you do, if you feel like you're growing. Have you learned something new this year? Does it make you excited to get to work? Do you feel like this is what you're meant to be doing with all of your time? I want you to type a yes or a no in the chat. Are you comfortable where you are right now? Type a yes or a no in the chat. Okay, no one is typing. Is it safe to say that we're comfortable? We're good where we are? Everybody's fine? Okay. Olubukola said no. Okay. Fantastic. Olubukola is the only person who is not comfortable where she is right now, but I guess that everyone else is, But I would say that if you're on this call, it means that you want something more for yourself. It means that you're saying, we definitely can be more, and you're considering, is this the best time for me to do something more? And that is why, we have our cohort. Okay, Emmanuel, Vivian said no. Fantastic. Don't worry about that. We've got a way around it. Our next cohort is starting on the 8th of August for the people who are not comfortable and who want more. Now, one thing I always tell people is that if you want to move, the best time for you to move is now. The best time is now, and that's part of why the full amount is $1,250. But then for the people who move fast, you are getting a discount at $1,000, $1,000. But that's not all. So hold on. You also get to start with just $200. You also get to start with just $200 as well. I've also got a special offer. I'm going to show you. My colleagues are dropping in the chat section. I'm going to be sharing a link in the chat section, so you can follow that link, and we're going to do something together. Now, one of the reasons why we're running a discount is because you want to get in, but you're wondering, is this the right fit for me? Is this the best time for me to start this? Do I want to do this? And then if you want to do it as well, can you commit to this at this point? So I'm going to be showing you real quick. So click on the link that my colleagues are dropping in the chat section. I'm going to go through this process. I'm going to show you how you can move through this process. The first step is, say you want to do business analysis. You're going to come here, data analytics rather. You're going to come here, and then you're going to, if you look down here, we've got the course, the opportunities that are under this track, and the title that comes with it. Then just click on continue with enroll now, rather. Just click on enroll now. When you click on enroll now, the next step would be for you to put in your email. Now, we always tell people to use, if you have a Google account, it's actually the best one for you to use. So try to use a Google account if you do. If you don't, that's still fine. Okay. Now, the next step is you put in your phone number, and that's pretty much it. You sign up and you are in. It's a very fast process. In a couple of minutes, you are done. Now, when you come down to this page, you can see that there are two options here. You've got the August cohort, and you've also got the September. Oh my goodness. I just noticed I'm not sharing my screen. Oh, I forgot to. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, then. You know what we're going to do? let me just quickly show you how I got here. Okay, so you come here, you select the track that you, oops, let me just go here. So you come here, you select the track. So you want to deal health tech, agile projects management, business analysis, product design, whatever that looks like for you. I'm going to select data analytics, and then I'm going to click on enroll now. So when I click on enroll now, I can decide if I want to join the August cohort or if I want to join the September cohort. So the September cohort starts on the 5th of September. The August cohort starts on the 8th of August. So depending on what you want to go for. Now we've got different kinds of payment plans, okay? Different kinds of payment plans. And one that I think that, especially for the people who maybe there's a lot going on, you're going to love this one. So, and depends on the payment plan you go for, there's also discounts attached to it. For example, we've got the pay once. So if you go for pay once, you can see that it has a 32% discount. So that means that instead of paying 1,000, you're paying 950. But that's if you're paying once. Now, if you're paying in 2 installments, you're going to be paying 500, which saves you $250 in total. You've got 20% discount. Now, I'm getting to the best part of it. We've also got 5 installments. So you're paying $1,000 and you're paying $200, and you pay that 5 times, but it's a wrap. And we've got bi-weekly, okay? So you pay bi-weekly. So with the bi-weekly payment, it means that every single week, bi-weekly, you are making your payment. And the total is $1,200. So you get $50 discount, and you're paying $100 bi-weekly. Now, one of the reasons why we gave this option is because you want to come in and you want to see, how does this work for me? And then depending on how you earn, maybe depends on the month you get paid and all of that, it just depends. You always have that flexibility. I want to get in, I want to see how I'm going to learn whether or not it's the right fit for me. You have flexibility. You've also got the installment plans, depending on how much you want to save. So this is entirely in your control. So whichever one works for you, you can make your decision on this page. Now, another thing that we can also do is when you select your installment plan, you can also choose the next date that you want to be debited. Okay, you can decide, okay, I don't get paid. For example, if you make payments today, and if you're going for the 5 installments payments plan, your next debit would be on the 25th of August. So you can move your payments at least 7 days ahead, and you can say, I want my next payments to happen, for example, on the 1st of September. So when you do that, your next payment is adjusted to the 1st of September. And again, this is also another feature that is designed to ensure that it is built around what works for you. So once you've made your selection, then you click on Pay Now. It's a very fast, easy process. When you click on Pay Now, it redirects you to the page where you can make your payments, okay? It's a very quick and fast process. You can select your details here. You can input your account details. I'm just putting in test data. So this is not my actual card details. So just put in yours here. And then you can make your payments, okay? So that's pretty much it. Once you get past this page, you are already in, okay? You're already in. You've completed your payment. Now it's going to redirect you because you do need to you need to verify your account details. So it's going to send you a verification to your email. And at this point, you want to go back to your email, and then you want to get the verification codes that has already been sent there. So you fetch your verification code, and then you paste it there, okay? So that's it. Now, the next step is you need to just complete your details. So we always ask for these details because this is how we're able to reach out to you. maybe you would typically get a call from your account manager, and your account manager would ask you questions like, what tools do you use? Since you've registered for the business analysis track, for example, would identify if you need extra support and all of that. So there's always someone to welcome you into the program. And this is before your cohort starts. So you would have an account manager assigned to you just to ensure that you are ready to get started by the time your cohort rolls around. So you're putting in all of the details here, like your next of kin, your phone number, and all of this is how we are able to reach you. Okay, so put in your preferred class time as well. Would you rather have your classes happen in the morning or in the evening? And then, you select your time zone. You can put in your phone number as well. So if I say I can select the evening classes here, put in emergency contacts. You can put in your LinkedIn profile if you want to, it's optional. And then your emergency contacts name as well, just in case we can't reach you for any reason. Okay, so it's a very easy process. If you have any questions or if you have any challenges when you're going through this process, you can simply reach out and the team would be available to support you. If you have any questions, I'm going to show you the phone number that you can call if you have any issues here. So just real quick, let me show you the phone number that you can call if you have any challenges. Okay. So if you have any challenges with your payment, you can reach out to this phone number. Okay, you can reach out to this phone number on my screen if you have any challenges completing your payment. But this is once you're done, you fill out your details, you verify your phone number. The next step, you would gain access to your LMS, and then you can watch some videos. You can fill out your onboarding. We have what we call the onboarding checklist, and the onboarding checklist pretty much just gets you ready for class. You see the people who are going to be your facilitators, and then you also have access to videos that you can watch to get you ready for when you resume. Okay, so it's a very easy, fast process. And if you decide you want to get started in August, it's going to be starting on the 8th of August. And if you would rather get started in September, then that would be the 5th of September. Okay, and you can 100% be like Ikmat, you can be like Judith, who came in and got the results that they were looking for. This can 100% be your story, but you have to get started first. Do not talk yourself out of it or delay. If not, we had someone join our program, a masterclass one time, and he mentioned that he had seen us a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, but at the time he wasn't ready, and now he was ready to join in. But unfortunately, time had already gone past, and he was still doing the same thing that he was doing. So he was working in care. So when he joined, he was still in care, and he was like, if I'd probably joined at the time, if I joined early, I probably would have got the job, And it's 100% possible because, like I said, the way we measure impact is the number of people who come back to say, Tenalytics, I have gotten a job. And for every one person who comes to us to say, I've gotten a job, we've got 200 people. We've got 100 people who don't come back to give us their testimonies or their testimonials. But for the people who do, that's when you see their videos, and we post it on LinkedIn, on YouTube. And these are real people. You can reach out to them and ask them, what was your experience like with Tenalytics? The point is, if you want to do something, the best time for you to do it is today, is right now. Yesterday was probably better because, we have like first movers advantage, and you still have first movers advantage, but every day that window is closing, it's reducing. In the next 1 year, you get started, you're already establishing yourself in the market. In the next 2 years, you've built a lot of experience. You're most likely targeting managerial roles, senior management roles in 3-4 years. Who knows where you could be? And then there are also some people who would come in and they go straight to management, senior management, as a matter of fact, because at the end of the day, your packaging is what matters. Now, I want to address something before I take questions. If anybody has a question, one of the biggest things that people would find themselves asking when they are moving into a new career path is, do I have to start all over again? Is that it? Am I just going to go and become an intern? Okay, I want to do data analysis. Now I'm going to become an intern as a data analyst. But no, you do not have to start all over again. As a matter of fact, you come in because, like I mentioned, you add yourself to Analytics and Dari as a consultant. You're already establishing yourself as someone in the industry who has experience. And depending on how you present yourself, you can gain access to a range of opportunities. People like Egmont, like Judith, Bukola, Mautin, and others did not go into internship roles or intern levels. They went straight for mid-level roles. So depending on how you present yourself in the market, which is something that we're going to be helping you do, we're going to be giving you all of the guidelines that you need to show up as your best self. You gain access to the best opportunities. So if you want to take advantage of this, do it while the window is still open. Now, real quick, does anyone have any questions? Anyone have any questions? If you have any questions, you can either raise your hand or you can drop your questions in the chat section and I will take your questions. Any questions? Okay, so while we're waiting, you can raise your hand if you do, or you can just, indicate in the chat section that you have a question. So while we're waiting, some people might have concerns, like number one is, I don't have time for this, I'm very busy, but just like the man who joins the session and was like, I wish I had gotten started earlier because I saw you 2 years ago. Every day that you wait, that you delay, the market is evolving even faster than it is right now. The market continues to change, and you need to change and move with the times as well. So I would say you don't have time for this. Create the time, because life will always be life. You will probably never have the time for it ever, but you create time for the things that are important. I'm not sure that I'm ready. If you are not ready, you would not be on the call. And by the way, all the programs start at beginner level. So you don't have to be an expert in tech, in computer science for you to get it. They all start at foundational level to give you everything that you need in order for you to succeed and win in this track. Now, what if it doesn't work for me? I disagree with that, because we've got thousands of alumni who have other opinions because it works for them. The framework I showed you, LPA, is a fantastic framework that works for anyone who uses it and uses it consistently. And you also have access as well to a community that will support you over and over again. Now, $1,000 is a lot of money. Well, when you start to count, your eBay purchases, your Netflix, your Amazon purchases, when you start to calculate all of that, it kind of adds up, cut off Uber Eats and other things, it starts to add up. So it is value for your money. And then depending on what you're comfortable with, bi-weekly, monthly, you want to pay in 2 installments, or you want to pay at once. The program is flexible enough. The payment options are flexible enough to fit in with your reality. Finally, we also got into the Alberta Catalyzer Velocity Program, and there's an entire article on that, so you can also gain access to that as well. If you haven't filled out the attendance form, please make sure you fill it out, where I'm going to be sharing all of the resources that I mentioned during this call, okay? So we're wrapping up here. This is Bukola. I think I mentioned Bukola's name. Bukola did something. So Bukola applies the LPA. She learned, she packaged, she applied consistently, and Bukola did not get a job. Now, Bukola got 2 jobs. She got 2 jobs, and she got those 2 jobs, within the same time period, not too far from each other. So she came in for, we helped her out with the interview prep. She had another one again. She came for an interview prep, and we supported her with that. She needed a reference. We shared the reference with her. So the idea is she saw the results because she applies the framework over and over again consistently. There was also Hope as well. Hope moved to Canada, and Hope already had all the experience. She was a project manager, and she had a Scrum Master certification. So on the skill level, she did not need us. She already had everything that she needed, but somehow the market was proving difficult for Hope. It was proving difficult. She just couldn't crack the code. Hope had moved to Canada. She thought she was going to be able to get a job with all the fantastic qualifications that she had, but the market was saying otherwise. So Hope said, maybe I need something more. And then Hope joined our Agile Projects Management Program in September 2024. And because Hope already had the experience, you know what happened? She compressed time. In 2 months, Hope got a job because she already has the skills, but the part that Hope was missing was employability, which now lends strength to my argument earlier that your competence, you need to prove it in order for you to break into the market. Mona Lisa asks, how do I fill the attendance, please? So we've got the link to the attendance form, Mona Lisa. You can just click on the link. Okay, so thank you so much. My colleague Sharon just dropped the link, so you can just click on that and you can fill it out. Okay, Elizabeth said, I did a certification in project management last year, but in AWS 2 years back, but couldn't find a job because I don't have green card. So a friend of mine told me to look into Project Scheduler, and it doesn't require any green. So my concern is, what do I sign up for with your team? Okay, Elizabeth, so you have project management experience already. Project management experience actually gives you, I'm not sure if you practice, you didn't mention that here, so you probably did not practice, but that gives you, that's something that you're familiar with, so you can build off your familiarity with it, and you can deal project management. So I'm not sure, you said you couldn't get a job because you don't have a green card. I'm not sure what country you are in, but depending, on what the country you're in is, what the regulatory is, project management is a fantastic fit regardless. In the UK, in the US, in Canada, this is a high-paying role, and you can also secure a job as well and get visa sponsorship as well with this career track. So what a lot of people are missing with this is the employability aspect. So with this track, you would be able to solve that, okay? So depending on what the nuances of your case is, I'm not sure, but one thing I would say is that it works for Hope. It can certainly work for you. And I've shown you stories of people who have come in and also gotten visa sponsorship as well. So our entire program is designed for immigrants, people of color, to ensure that you are able to achieve your goals. If that's getting a job or securing a job with visa sponsorship, 100% possible for you, Elizabeth. So you want to get started, I would say get started now, okay? So if you are in the US, you probably have to be looking into different things in Canada, in the UK. That's why I said your specific location matters. So one thing that you can also do as well is you can book a clarity session. I'm not sure if you're comfortable answering that here. You can also book a clarity session as well. In the clarity session, you get to have like a one-on-one sit down with our career consultants, and then you say things like, you tell them about your career, tell them about your background, oh, I used to be a mom, or I'm looking for a visa sponsored job, and this is what I used to do when I was in Kenya, this is what I used to do when I was in Uganda. And then based off that, you would then get advice that is tailored for your specific requirement, okay? For your specific requirement. Okay, you said you're in the US. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. So Elizabeth, I would advise you to not jump into another certification program. Okay, that's the project scheduler. I think that you should not jump into another certification program. You already have, certification. And what you just need right now, you need positioning, you need practical experience, you need portfolio proof, you need a job search strategy, and that's going to work. It's going to work for you. So before choosing a path, Okay, you want to get a clarity call. All right. Sharon is gonna drop my colleague. Can you, Sharon, could you just get the link for clarity and share that here? Okay, so you can just book a clarity call. All right. Now, for anyone who also has questions, just like Elizabeth, you want to get on a one-on-one call with a career consultant, you can book a clarity call, and then we'd have conversations with you on what your specific background looks like, and then what you're looking to get into. But for your case, Elizabeth, and you're probably going to hear this when you get into clarity, what you're looking for is positioning. That's what you're looking for. Okay, so for anyone who wants to have a conversation in clarity, you can book that. But also, I would say lock down your discounts as well. So whether or not you go for projects management, you go for health tech, you go for data analytics, you lock down your discount because this is not going to continue. I think the discount expires by 12 a.m. UK time. So the discount is only for the next couple of hours. So you can lock down whatever track. You're not sure about it. You're not sure it's business analysis. You're not sure it's data you want to go for. Lock down a track. You can then book a clarity session, and then you can now have conversations with, the career consultants and tell them, what you're looking into, what your background looks like, and then they can now advise you to either shift to a different career path if the case is, as the case may be, if it's required. You can 100% do that. Okay, so Oluwadamilare, I've shared Hope's story. Oluwadamilare joined our data analytics program just before he completed his master's in the UK, and he got a job as a sustainability data analyst. And the same thing with Oye Fikayo. I could go on and on and on. I could go on and on and on. People who have gotten jobs, and that can 100% be you. Elizabeth, please fill out the attendance form. You can drop your contacts in the chat section so I can just copy that, if you don't mind. Okay. Do we have any other questions before we call it a day? Do we have any other questions? Any questions? You can drop it in the chat section. Okay. Got it, Elizabeth. Do we have any other questions? No one does? All right.
Sorry, I have a question. Sorry. When I click the link to get the 20%, it just takes you to career coach or sorry, let me just go back into the link. Either a career coach or a career quiz. How do you actually book the 20%, or how do you secure the booking?
Okay, so you want to get the 20%.
I don't want to choose a career now. I want to talk about it first before choosing a career path or a course.
Oh, you want to talk about it first before you choose a path?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, so fill out the attendance form. You see that? Let me just show the link here.
Yeah, I've done that already. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so fill out the attendance form. We have your details. We're going to reach out to you for clarity. Okay, we're going to just fill out the form. Mona Lisa is also saying she would like a clarity session. All right, so fill out the form. We have your details. You're going to get a clarity session. Okay, so we're going to be sharing a Calendly link with you where you can book a time that works for you. Okay.
Wonderful. I'll book that.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Olubukola. All right, so Mona Lisa, Elizabeth, Olubukola would like to take clarity sessions. Is there anyone else who is not sure about their path yet and wants to take a clarity session? Anyone else who is not sure? Okay, but regardless, even though you're not sure, you can just fill out the form, the attendance form. But if you're certain, you're ready to get into it, like I mentioned, we can always change the course. You go for data analytics or you go for business analysis, and then you have a conversation with the career coach, and we realize that a different track is a better fit. We can always change it for you, and you move to that track. And that's because your cohort starts August 8th. So before August 8th, we can always change it for you. So you can move to the right track that you want. They're all the same price, actually. But then the discount is not going to run forever. Remember, you have access to the discount, but those who are ready to make payment, the discount is going to expire at 12. Okay. I would like to join the September cohort. Yes. So Bukola, Elizabeth, rather, you can 100% join the September cohort. So that starts on the 5th of September. So you can also select the 5th of September when you are creating your account. When you're making your payments, all you have to do is just select the 5th of September. So like I said, we have two cohorts that you can register for right now. We have August and then we have September. August starts on the 8th of August, September on the 5th of September. You can make that selection when you're making your payments. And don't worry if you sign up for the August cohort and you realize that September is a better fit for you. We can always move you. You can defer to the next cohort before you get started. All right. So it's fully flexible and we're also accessible. You can reach out and you can get support as well. All right. So thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions? Or is everyone good? All right, I'll take it that everyone is good. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been fantastic being your host today. On behalf of my colleagues and I, we're so excited that you made our time for this and you've spent some time with us. If you're still on the call, that's because there's value in here for you, and that this is something that is a right fit for you. You just maybe you have some questions that you would need to be cleared up. That's fine. But if you've made the decision you want to get into tech, I would say that this is the best time for you to get into it, especially because you would not just be building the skills, you would also be becoming employable, which is something that a lot of people miss when they are looking for opportunities like this. They just focus on the skill, but they forget that employability is a different track on its own. But with 10 Analytics, you gain access to the skills and the employability aspect as well. So I'm excited for everyone here who is ready to take that journey and to fully step into it. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you all in class. Now, if you don't have any other questions, again, thank you so much for joining us today. Please enjoy the rest of your day or the rest of your evening. Take care and bye, everyone.
Much. Thank you.
Welcome. Bye, Bukola. Bye, everyone.